Lundins gröna energibolag redovisar förlust och rekordproduktion. Och arbetslösheten i Sverige ökar mot i fjol. Varmt välkomna till EFN Direkt. Det är tisdag den 14 maj och jag heter Stjernquist. Stockholmsbörsen ser ut att öppna försiktigt neråt. Även i Asien noteras mestadels små nedgångar. Tokyobörsen och börserna i Fastlandskina backar svagt medan Hongkongbörsen är oförändrad. Det First North-listade cybersäkerhetsbolaget Yubico ökade vinsten med 30% till cirka 90 miljoner kronor i det första kvartalet. Nettoomsättningen ökade med 20% och orderingången steg 65%. Bolagsgruppen Carnells resultat däremot minskade med 30% till 20 miljoner kronor. Det visar bolagets kvartalsrapport idag som är den första sedan börsdebuten i våras. Den tyska fordonsjätten Volkswagen undersöker möjligheten att sälja aktier i dotterbolaget Traton till ett värde av uppemot 1 miljard euro enligt uppgifter till Bloomberg. Planerna kommer efter att Traton-aktien rusat nära 60% i år. Arbetslösheten i Sverige steg från 6,3% i april förra året till 6,6% i april i år enligt statistik från Arbetsförmedlingen. Enligt prognoschef Lars Lindvall så dröjer vändningen i början på nästa år. Lundins omstöpta energibolag Orrön Energy redovisar en förlust på 1 miljon euro jämfört med en vinst på nära 1,5 miljon euro motsvarande kvartal i fjol. Och nu så byter jag till engelska och säger välkommen till bolagets vd Daniel Fitzgerald. Thank you so much for joining us, Daniel.
Great to be here. Thank you.
So how would you summarize the first quarter?
I think it's been a good first quarter for us. So we've had record production as a company. Carscrew's now fully online, and we delivered around 274 gigawatt hours of production. So that resulted in revenues of around 14 million euros and EBITDA of just shy of 6 million euros. So Q1 in terms of operational performance was really good, and we also announced the sale of our Leikanger asset in Q1, and that is a really key point for us where it just truly demonstrates the underlying value of our assets. We sold that asset for 53 million euros, which represents almost 30% of our market cap today. So the underlying value of the assets is there, but the underlying value in the share price is not quite matching up to that today. And I think Leikanger allows us to demonstrate that to the market, but then also use those proceeds to reinvest into higher return projects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as you mentioned, you reported a new record high production. Why is that?
So Carscrew is one of our assets in SE4. It came online in November last year, and so it's the first full year of production from the Carscrew asset. And so that leads us to record production this year, and we're looking for the full year to deliver around 1,000 gigawatt hours of production this year on the back of Carscrew coming online and the remainder of the assets.
Okay, but the operating profit EBIT decreased to 1 million, a loss of 1 million euros. Why is that?
On a consolidated basis, it doesn't truly represent the underlying assets. On a proportionate basis, we ended up with EBITDA of close to $6 million on a cash basis. So the reduction in the EBITDA from the last year's respective quarter is due to the energy price coming down. So where we saw the tail end of the energy crisis in early 2023, we haven't seen that. We've seen a more normalized price in early 2024.
Okay. And you sold your 50% stake in the Norwegian hydropower plant Leikanger in April. Why is that?
So the Norwegian asset, it's a non-core asset for us. It's less than 10% of our production. It represents our only asset in Norway. And in Norway, we see a tax regime where we have a 67% marginal tax rate. So where we were able to sell the asset of Leikanger, we can redeploy those proceeds into new growth and new investments with a much higher rate of return. And there's buyers of that hydropower asset at much higher prices than we're prepared to hold that asset for.
And you sold it for 53 million euros.
Yep.
Are you fully satisfied with that
Yes,
amount? Yeah.
absolutely. Otherwise, we would have kept the asset. There's no pressure on us to sell assets or liquidate assets. this is purely an opportunity where the market conditions allow us to recycle that capital into the remainder of the business. It brings our net debt down to around 40 million euros after the sale, which gives us firepower of more than 130 million euros to go and invest with the company.
Right. And you now have a liquidity headroom of 130 million euros. So what do you plan to do with that money? Do you plan to invest in a new project or share buybacks or extra dividend, for example?
All of the above we're looking at. So I think that this is a growth company. And so first and foremost, we're looking to grow our asset base. We have a range of Greenfield projects that we've been maturing over the last 12 or 18 months. And that gives us a steady stream of investment opportunities. We're also looking at acquisitions. But given the disconnect between the underlying value of the assets and the underlying value of the share, I think share buybacks is something we're actively looking at.
After the completion of Karlskrona in Q1, you also communicated that the break-even price per megawatt hour was 29 euros. How has this changed since the sale of Leikanger?
It's around the same level, actually. So Leikanger, in terms of the revenues, the costs of Leikanger, it was around the average of our portfolio. So there's not a material change in that number. However, the underlying operating costs of our assets is closer to 15 or 16 euros a megawatt hour. So each of our assets is delivering positive EBITDA above the operating cost of around 15 or 16. So the company is very resilient in that low price scenario. And if we do see prolonged periods of low pricing, not only can we withstand it, but we have ample liquidity headroom to go and invest and potentially acquire assets at attractive prices.
You also have a Greenfield portfolio with solar and battery projects in the UK, Germany and France. Do you have any plans on selling any of those projects?
Absolutely. So we're looking at projects across all of our countries. We're active in 5 countries now. In Sweden, we have a portfolio of wind solar batteries. In Finland, we have wind and batteries. And we acquired a portfolio in Q1 of this year in Finland. In the Germany, UK and French platforms, we have really large-scale solar and battery projects. We're aiming for the second half of this year, early next year, to look to monetize the first projects coming out of that.
So just yesterday we heard that EQT is buying OX2. Do you see that having any effect on you or the energy sector as a whole, seeing as you also bought Karlskrona from OX2?
I think first and foremost, OX2 is a fantastic company. I think we've done business with them for many years, so it's a shame to see them exit the market. But I think EQT is a great owner of that business, and they're going to move to a new business model which requires a lot more capex. In terms of the market, I think it's another proof point where the value of public companies in the renewable space is completely undervalued today. And if EQT are coming in to purchase something like that with a big premium on the asset, it says that there's a lot more value in the renewable space than what the public markets are putting on companies. We saw the same with the Encarvis bid earlier in the year. We're seeing now with OX2, and I think that wave of consolidation where private players or people who understand the true value of the assets are stepping in to take advantage of the weak market sentiment at the moment. So I think it will continue as we go through this year as prices or stock prices remain depressed.
Which of the following would you say have the most significant impact on your profitability? Is it wind speeds, electricity prices, or temperature?
I'd say it's a mix of all. We need all of them. So electricity price by far the biggest. When we look back, we can have a look at average weather conditions. And so we know roughly where our production is going to be within a small band. So as long as the weather conditions don't change massively, I think wind speed is okay. As temperatures are lower, we see higher pricing. So there is a correlation between the temperature and pricing. And I'd say price has the biggest impact on the cash flow, the underlying cash flow of the business until our Greenfield project sales start coming online.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Det var det vi hade från EFN Direkt denna morgon, men vi är tillbaka igen vid lunch 11.30 och till dess så kan du följa oss på sociala medier eller på efn.se. Tack för att du tittade.